listen to this alone in the dark. I'm standing in the stairwell outside my apartment right now, and I can still feel the cold of the metal handrail on my palm because I grabbed it so hard it hurt. And I didn't let go even when my fingers went numb, because the second I let go, I thought I'd hear it move again, closer, on the steps behind me. I had only stepped out to take a trash bag down to the basement bins, because the hallway outside my door smelled like old food, and I didn't want it sitting in my kitchen overnight. The stairwell in my building is plain and always the same. Beige paint, gray steps, a flickering light that takes a second to warm up, and that heavy door that swings shut on its own. I pushed the door open with my shoulder, the trash bag brushing my leg, and I heard the latch click behind me like it always does. I remember thinking about how quiet it was, because I didn't hear any TVs through the walls, and I didn't hear anyone walking in the hall, just the light buzzing above the landing. I started down one flight, and the first wrong thing was so small I almost ignored it. I heard breathing that didn't match mine. Not loud, not fast, just steady, like someone standing still and breathing through their nose. I stopped halfway down and listened, and the breathing stopped at the exact same time I stopped. I told myself it was coming from the vents or from the pipes, but it had been too clean, too human. I leaned over the rail to look down toward the next landing and the next, and I didn't see anyone. The light on the lower landing pulsed once, bright, then dim. I shifted my weight, and the trash bag rustled. Something rustled back, the same sound, but it came from above me, one flight up, right behind the door I'd just come through. I turned my head slowly, not wanting to make noise, and I stared up at the top landing. The door at the top was shut. The chain on the door handle hung still. The light above it buzzed. And then I heard my own voice speak from up there, low and close, like someone standing on the other side of that door. "It's fine. Just go." My throat tightened so hard I swallowed air. I didn't answer at first because the voice was mine. Same tone, same flat way I talk when I'm trying to calm myself down. I took one step down, and the steps creaked, and the voice above me spoke again, closer, like it moved without footsteps. "Don't look up." I looked up anyway, because I couldn't not look. The door at the top landing was still shut, but something was on the wall beside it, where there should have been nothing but paint. It was tall, pressed flat against the wall like it was trying to become part of it, and it had the shape of a person that didn't make sense. Too long in the torso, shoulders too narrow, head tilted at an angle that made my neck hurt to mirror it. Its skin looked like wet drywall, pale and uneven, and it wasn't breathing, not like a chest rising and falling. The breathing I'd heard was coming from its mouth, which was stretched open like it didn't know how to close it. When the light above it flickered, I saw its eyes catch the light and shine back, not reflections like an animal, but a steady glow, like small bulbs behind thin skin. I froze with one foot on a step and one foot hovering, and I realized it was watching my hands, not my face. Its head moved in a slow, careful way, like it was learning me. I tried to talk because my brain wanted normal, wanted sound, wanted anything I could control. "Hey, you're not supposed to be in here." My voice came out thin, and the stairwell took it and threw it back at me. The thing's mouth moved without changing shape, and my own voice came out of it again, clearer this time, like it had practiced. "I live here." That made my stomach turn because it wasn't copying my words anymore. It was choosing them. I took another step down, slow, and I kept my eyes on it. Its head tilted farther, and when I moved my right hand on the rail, its long arm slid down the wall like it was on a track, keeping level with my hand, matching me. It didn't come off the wall. It didn't have to. It was controlling the space without leaving its place. I decided to go down faster and get to the basement door, because the basement leads to the back exit, and I thought if I got outside I could breathe and call someone. I started down quickly, the trash bag bouncing against my knee, and the lights above each landing began to flicker in sequence as I passed them, one after another, like they were being turned on and off by a hand following me. I heard a footstep above me, then another, but the sound was wrong, like a shoe hitting a step that wasn't solid. I didn't look back, I just kept going, and I reached the next landing and grabbed the railing to turn. When I did, the metal was warmer than it should have been, like someone had been holding it for a long time. I heard my phone buzz in my pocket, and for a second that felt like a lifeline. But when I pulled it out, the screen was already unlocked, already open to my contacts, already hovering over the last person I'd called. My thumb wasn't on it. I hadn't touched anything. The name on the screen was my neighbor across the hall, Darius. My phone started dialing on its own, and I heard the call tone, and then I heard Darius's voice answer, distorted and sleepy. "Yeah?" I tried to speak and nothing came out because my lungs were locked. The voice that spoke into the phone was mine, but it wasn't coming from my mouth. It was coming from behind me on the stairs, close enough that the breath touched the back of my neck. "Don't open your door." I spun around so fast I almost dropped my phone. The thing wasn't on the top landing anymore. It was halfway down the flight above me, still pressed to the wall, sliding down without bending its knees, without lifting its feet, like gravity didn't apply to it the way it applies to us. Its glowing eyes stayed fixed on my hands again, and I saw why. The trash bag had torn at the bottom from dragging on the steps, and something wet was dripping out, leaving a trail down the stairwell. The thing's head lowered, slow, and its mouth widened, and it inhaled, and I heard the same breathing sound again, steady, satisfied. I backed down the steps until my heel hit the landing, and I had nowhere to go but around the corner toward the basement. I tried to talk to Darius because I needed him to understand, needed a person on the line, needed anyone to hear me. "Darius, don't come out! Don't open!" The line went dead mid-word. My phone screen went black like it had died, but the battery had been full. I shook it, hit the side, and nothing came back. I ran the last flight down, and the light above me snapped off, then the next, and the next, until the stairwell behind me was dark except for the steady glow of its eyes, which stayed visible even when everything else disappeared. I reached the basement door and grabbed the handle, and it didn't turn. It wasn't locked with a key, it was a push bar, and it should have opened. I slammed my shoulder into it. Nothing. I hit it again, harder, and the door didn't move at all, like it had fused to the frame. I turned around because the breathing was close now, closer than it should have been if it was still up the stairs, and I saw it had slid down to the landing above me without making a single footstep. It had taken the space I'd just crossed like distance didn't matter. Its arm peeled off the wall for the first time, and I watched the way it moved like it was pulling itself out of paint. Its fingers were too long and too thin, and they opened and closed like it was testing joints it didn't use often. It raised its hand, palm facing me, and the light above my head flickered on, then off, then on again, and I realized it was doing that. I realized it had been doing all of it. I lifted my own hands without thinking, palms out like I could stop something with air. "Please, I'm not doing anything." The thing's mouth moved, and this time the voice that came out wasn't mine. It was my mother's voice. Exact. The same soft way she says my name when I'm sick. "Come here." My eyes burned and I hated myself for the way my body reacted to that voice. The way my feet wanted to obey for half a second before fear slammed back in. I tried the basement door again, and I felt the handle turn this time, and hope punched through me so hard it almost made me laugh. I shoved, and the door opened an inch, just enough for cold air to leak through, just enough for me to see the basement light beyond it. I shoved again, and it opened another inch, and then stopped, held in place by something unseen. I leaned my shoulder into it and pushed until my muscles shook, and the gap stayed the same. The thing slid down one more step, and I heard the wet drag of its body against the wall, like paint peeling. It didn't rush. It didn't need to. It was letting me learn that I couldn't make the door open. My phone, dead in my hand, suddenly lit up again with my own face on the screen like a video call, except I wasn't calling anyone. On the screen, I saw the top landing of the stairwell, and I saw my apartment door from the outside, like the phone was showing a camera view from up there. My apartment door handle moved on the screen, slowly, like someone was testing it from the inside. I wasn't up there. I was down here. My stomach dropped because that meant it was up there too, or it could be, or it didn't have one place. The thing in front of me opened its mouth wider, and my own voice came out of it again, calm, patient. "Which door do you want?" My knees went weak. I pressed my back to the basement door and kept my eyes on the thing, because if I looked away, I knew it would be closer, and I knew it wanted me to choose. The phone screen changed again, and now it showed the hallway outside my apartment, dim and empty, and I saw Darius's door across from mine. His door opened on the screen, just a crack, like he'd heard something and he was peeking out. I tried to shout his name, but when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. No sound. My throat moved and the air didn't carry. The thing's glowing eyes shifted from my hands to my mouth, and it tilted its head like it was listening to a silence it controlled. It lifted its long hand and pointed at my phone screen, and Darius stepped into the hall on the screen, looking down toward my door. The thing's mouth moved, and Darius's voice came out of it from right in front of me, like he was standing inches away. "You okay in there?" I slammed my fist against the basement door, trying to make any noise, any signal, and the only sound in the stairwell was the buzz of the light and the slow breathing from the thing's open mouth. The basement door behind me suddenly swung wide, like it had never been stuck, and I stumbled backward into the basement room. The light in there was on, harsh and steady, and I saw the bins and the concrete floor and the pipes and the familiar maintenance shelves along the wall. For half a second it felt like safety, because it looked normal. Then the basement door slammed shut behind me on its own, and I heard the latch click, and the sound was too clean, too final. I turned and grabbed the handle, and it wouldn't turn from this side either. I backed away from the door because I needed distance to breathe, and that's when I saw it inside the basement with me, already there, pressed to the far wall beside the shelves, like it had always been part of the room. It hadn't come through the door. It didn't have to. Its glowing eyes stared straight at my hands again, and I realized the trash bag was still in my grip, the torn bottom dripping onto the concrete. The thing inhaled slowly, and the air in the basement shifted toward it, like it was pulling the room into its mouth. My phone screen lit one last time, and the hallway view was gone. Now it showed my own face, pale, eyes wide, staring down at the screen, and behind me in the reflection was the thing's open mouth close to my ear. I didn't feel its touch. I only felt the heat of its breath and the way the room seemed to listen with it. If you're listening to this, don't assume you're alone just because you can't see anything. If you hear your own voice tell you it's fine, check the walls before you check the doors. If you have a horror story of your own, please feel free to drop it in the comments section. You never know, the next story could be yours. Subscribe to The Vault so you don't miss what comes next.